So here we are. So for the second round of Q&A with Jim Penman, the founder of Jim's Group and 52 other well-known services. Thank you to everyone for your support. We really appreciate it. We didn't know what to expect from part one, and I know Jim appreciated it a lot. What we did at the end is we got all the comments that were left on the feed, and we actually flicked them to Jim as well via email. So if we didn't get around to your comment, we do apologise, but Jim did see him via email, and we appreciate it. So a bit of housekeeping tonight. 30 minutes, we'll try and keep it strictly to. We'll try and get to as much comments and questions and material as we can. If you've tuned in to learn about the beard or the hat history, please watch part one. It was covered extensively in the first probably 10 minutes in that. And apologies to some people last time, as there was a delay with the comments on the feed. So as the comments were coming through, we didn't see all of them. And then at the end, when we went back, we then noticed there was a lot of good comments and questions left. So we apologise for that. Hopefully that's sorted out tonight and we can get through them. So please feel free to put as many comments or questions as you can. We'll try to get through them. If we don't get through them, we'll tally them up and try and ask them next time. We've got a bunch of questions from last time, which we're going to start hopefully with tonight. And as you put your comments and questions through, I'll stop Jim as we go and hopefully put them to him. And also thanks to Jim's Memeing, Matt especially from there, who shared the post about this live Q&A as well. We appreciate your support, Matt, from Jim's Memeing. So let's get straight into it, guys. Okay, so first question was via Eddie DeWitt or Eddie DeWitt. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, Eddie, via LinkedIn. And his question to Jim was, Jim, how do you feel about robotics in our industry? And in time, are we going to start going down that path? He says, I'd hate to miss the boat. And he says, in regards to AI or robotics in the mowing business in particular. So Eddie's a mowing franchisee. How does AI robotics, do you think, will affect him in the future?
Well, it's not going to wipe your job out for a stack of different reasons. First of all, you could probably set up a lawnmower to mow a lawn, especially if it was on a big area. You do have a bit of a problem with how you handle the catcher, because pushing a lawnmower, getting it to move is one thing, but actually emptying the catcher is more complicated. But one thing you really couldn't do is talk to the client, and it's the quoting and the PR and the contacting and all that sort of stuff would be incredibly difficult. No, we're not even remotely close to a robot that could do that. So in actual fact, if we could get a robot lawnmower, it'd be good. It'd be good because it would actually make our people a lot more profitable. But in terms of doing this without a job, not possible at all. It's the people contact thing is going to be the hardest thing to get going, and robots are very bad at that.
So there's your answer. Hopefully that answers a bit of your question, Eddie. The next one was from Sebi Scheinberg via Facebook. Now, he's basically asked how many people that you have employed or franchisees, I guess, are actually called Jim. Yeah, and I know you just ran down to the office before, 4 minutes before we went live, you ran down to your computer and checked this.
We have 20 called Jim, and we have another 36 called James, who could call themselves Jim, but it's really different. I mean, nobody ever calls me James. That just wouldn't suit at all. We did think at one stage of putting in the contract that everybody in gyms has to change their name to Jim by deed poll and grow a beard. But the women objected to that, so we decided not to go ahead with it.
There you go. It nearly became, 4,000 gyms with a beard everywhere. A lot of unhappy ladies. So the next one was via Scott Greenwood via Facebook, and he's basically asked, when do you think you'll retire?
I'm going to have a great retirement ceremony. It'll be in a church, and I'll be the guest of honor, and I'll be in a box on the floor, dead. That's my retirement. The idea of retirement. Actually, they say when you get to the age of 65, which I've just passed, you're supposed to either do less work or more work. I can't figure out which, but I'm doing a lot more work. So whichever way, that's the way I'm going. Retirement is just not an option, not ever.
And we hear that every day, that one, don't we? So another one's just come through via the live feed then was via Nathan Reeve. He basically, about the Stepmates video. So remember the video that went sort of viral with the gyms, everything, right? And there was a bit of a story with that. He's basically just asked about your thoughts on that one.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I mean, we don't really mind it. It all pushes the brand. I mean, this is the more it gets out there, the better. All the memes and the videos and stuff. It's great. We love it.
I think at the start we sort of weren't used to it, but I guess as we got more, we understood how much of an impact it had, and it was something that
people are always telling me about something and say, why don't you want to take that down? And I said, well, why? It doesn't do us any harm. They don't think it's us. So
yeah, I guess any form of marketing publicity is sort of good, isn't it, in a way.
Yeah.
And no, it's got a lot of views and a lot of time by the guys, and we appreciate that. Another one here via Facebook was via Greg Campbell. Now, I presume he's a franchisee. I think he's a building inspections franchisee. And he's asked, what are the main roles of a franchisor? Can you just explain to what a franchisor first is, then running to that question?
Yeah, when we first started off gyms, I was going to be the franchisor myself. I was going to do it all the rest was going to be franchisees. Now, I must say in those days, we never thought of going outside even the state of Victoria, much less the country. But what we found out was that even though when people were very close to the office where I lived, they were very happy, but the further away they got, the less happy they were. And we realized, and the first interstate people actually, most of them failed, I'm afraid to say. I mean, the people just volunteered to start interstate, and it just didn't work. So then I started putting local franchisors in, and it's a very personal sort of bond. A franchisor is the one that contacts the franchise inquiry, discusses the system, it explains how it works, tries to do an assessment to whether they're suitable to do it, which not everybody is, and we put a lot of emphasis on selection, arranges them to go out on the road, gets the guys to have a look at them, have a feel for the business, how you're going to go, organises training in Melbourne. And then after they've started, franchisor is ongoing support. Franchisor will do things like organise advertising. The advertising is controlled in our system, not by franchisors. People think I organise it all, but we don't actually have any marketing budget at all. It's all done by the franchisors. They organise meetings. We found that franchisees need a meeting at least every 6 weeks. Anything less than that, they tend to be less happy. So that need to get together with other people and talk to each other face to face and talk to the franchisor, learn a bit, provide bonds, sense of community. That's very important. Franchisor does that. Franchisor is also the person that they respond if a franchisee has a problem. We have a system which says they need to respond within 24 hours maximum. Now, most franchisors are much better than that. Most of them will get back to them straight away. Franchisor is supposed to ring franchises regularly, ideally every week, especially in the beginning, and just keep contact. How are you going? How are you getting on? Any issues? How's it going? How's your wife? How's your kids? Just keep a sense of closeness going. Business mentoring, but more than that too. And if there's a complaint, the franchisor is the person that rings the franchisee and says, okay, what happened? Why did this go wrong? You know, is there a story? Is there a reason why? Can you prove that it wasn't your fault? In which case I'll get Jim to take it off. Or, you know, is it seems to me did the right thing, so we'll rate it not at fault. Or, look, most of the time, okay, this is what the mistake you made. How can we do better in future? So your franchisor is an overall business coach, mate, supporter, whole range of things. And actually the system depends very much on the franchisor. If you have a good franchisor, and most of our franchisors are pretty good, then franchisees tend to be very happy and they stay a long time.
So there you go. Very comprehensive answer for you there, Greg. We'll go through some of the comments here. Thank you to Don McInnes says, evening guys. So Don is a test and tag, speaking of franchisors, a test and tag regional franchisor and a very good one. I'll just go through one of the questions here. So guys, if there might be lag with the questions, so just keep putting your questions and comments through and hopefully it gets through to us. If it does come up as a question, I will try and read it. So don't be shy, put your comments through and your questions. I'll just go to one here. We did touch on this in the first video, but we'll rehash again for a new video. Daniel McMullen via Facebook has gone, can you grow your beard back? Nah.
My wife likes me the way I am. I mean, it's very surprising. She doesn't find me too repulsive. I'm not going to change too much. My wife's beautiful, so I'll upset her in any way.
Yeah, Jim's punching well above his weight. So
yeah, I do.
I use the cricket analogies.
I've done a lot better than I deserve. I can tell you that one.
I'll back him up on that.
Thanks.
No,
that's good of you.
So Nathan Reeve has commented, will Jim take over the world?
Yes.
Now, I know you like playing games which actually have world conquest, Jim, so that's probably not a bad question or comment.
Yeah, I like playing Conquest. Actually, when I was at school, my best friend that I learned in year 11, and we got together because we were both wanting to be world dictator. That was the thing we had in common. And we used to play bridge with a couple of other guys. So I was ambitious in a sort of way. But in actual fact, the I mean, gyms is fun, but as I discussed last week, I have this research goals, which is to do with changing people's epigenetics, which could change their character. That could actually change the world in a very, very fundamental way in terms of things like wiping out poverty or mental illness. And we're actually doing this. I was out at my, talking with the research team on Tuesday. And the research is really exciting. It's just going ahead like anything, and we're planning all the new experiments and stuff. And this could be very, very big, much bigger than anything in gyms. It could affect people everywhere.
So Natalie Manning, just going for the comments here again. Natalie Manning says, hi, Jim. So thanks to Natalie for tuning in. Kath Moran's gone here. Jim, have you hired fellow gyms franchisees to do your house, cleaning / mowing, etc.?
Mowing, we tried to get a gym cleaning guy to do the house, but we just couldn't find anybody. Actually, there was just nobody in the area. It's pretty hard to get cleaning done a lot of places. Mowing is done by a guy from the conference center, which is next door. But lots of other things we get done. We get handymen. We get
pool care.
Pool care. We had a lot of problems with the pool, and Adam's been fantastic. We've had antennas type work done. We've had we use them a lot. Window cleaning, all kinds of things. But look, I'm not fanatical about gyms. I actually I believe in using the best person for the task, and that's not always gyms, but very often it's because our guys give pretty good service. They're not the cheapest, so I just use them like anybody else will if there's a right person for the task. At least one advantage I have is I can look into the system. So if I want something done, like if I wanted the car cleaning, for example, I don't just call it random. I go in and have a look, and I say, "Oh, this guy's got a 4.2 and a couple of complaints. Nah, wouldn't use him, and him 4.8, fantastic. Oh yeah, use him." That's give me actually when people ask me for a recommendation, I always do that too. I'll go in and I'll actually figure out who's the best person, and I'll recommend them, which is a lot better than just going in at random.
So I hope that answers your question, Catherine. Yes, he does. Let me just go down here, scroll down the comments. So we have Paul Sandals who goes, "Hey, Jim and Joel. Jim,
Paul.
how do you remain so passionate about Jim's Group after 28 years? I think, but we're coming up to our 30-year anniversary this year."
Actually, in June, it'll be 30 years for my first franchisee. I just love it. As I often say, I mean, you talk about retirement. Well, if retirement is stopping doing work for money and just doing what you love for the sake of it, I probably retired about 15 years ago. It's just fun. Business is really exciting. It's like a giant video game, really endlessly fascinating and complicated, but they pay you to do it. I mean, what a great deal is that. I love business. I actually enjoyed it when I was mowing lawns. I love that ability to be able to make changes. Even today, we had a great session this morning with our business advisor. Came up with Joel with me too, and we came up with some fantastic ideas about how to improve the system, how to get people to, teach people about business without necessarily joining gyms and all kinds of things.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone for tuning in as well. We've got a few people tuning in now. It's picking up a bit of steam, so thank you very much for tuning in. As I said, put your comments or questions, and I'll try and get to as many as I can. Rebecca Jenkins asks, when you were starting out and you had your first 3 or 4 franchisees, how did you promote your business to get more franchisees on board? What methods, what things did you use to promote the business? Very interesting question.
When I started, I had about 12 franchisees straight away because I had people who'd bought lawn mowing grounds from me. I used to sell lawn mowing grounds, and some of them were really good, and they used to be my trainers and so forth. So when I wanted to start gyms, I went to these guys that I knew were good, and I said, well, how about coming across into gyms? And they already knew me, and they trusted me, and I had a few very good subbies. So I had about 12 people to start with within the first month or so. I just used to advertise in the paper, in the Age in those days, just as businesses for sale. There was no competition. I mean, these days there's about, how many franchise systems are there around that sell service? There's so many. In those days there were a lot less. So we kind of got in on the ground floor in a way. I mean, VIP had just started, and they were the first to do this kind of stuff. So it was kind of relatively easy. In fact, in the beginning, the hardest thing was not finding franchisees, it was finding work for them. That was really tough. We used to have teams of canvassers knocking on doors. These days, it's incredibly easy to find work. I mean, we've got 180,000 unserviced leads last year, but the hard thing is just finding enough of the caliber of people we want to be franchisees to do the work. Somebody who's got a business brain and a good character, who doesn't mind getting their hands dirty. which I enjoy actually. I love getting my hands dirty. I enjoy things like gardening and farming and stuff still.
So you do, because you do have a farm up in
Yeah.
and you are there a lot. You're bringing eggs to the office, for example. You were coming in on a Monday morning, it'll be a bunch of here's some eggs, take some eggs.
Yeah, we got. I don't know how we've got 10 chooks. I don't know why on earth we got 10 chooks. So I have to give them all, pay all the staff, and also come in with other things like farm produce, like fruit and stuff, because we can't eat it all. But I just enjoy that sort of stuff. It's really fun.
I'll just go through a couple of comments here. So Michael McLeod says, "Howdy guys, thanks for tuning in, Michael."
Yeah,
I'll go to a question here. This is a really specific one, guys. So Josh Elms, which would be Joshua Elm, is a Mowing franchisee. Thanks for tuning in again. Would it be possible to have a mobile-friendly version of Gyms Online so we can change work requirements or get customer details while on the road? Saves calling the call center. And this is a really good question.
Yes, that's exactly right. We've actually basically what's going to be is a version of Jim's Jobs. Jim's Jobs is the program that franchisees use to run their system. It's been around for 15 years. It's a but basically a DOS program, basically a very simple PC program. We've tried different kinds of programs for our franchisees from out externally. We found they don't work. So what we're actually doing right now is getting Jim's Jobs to be mobile, so it can be taken on the field. We have to get it rewritten into a different language, and then it's going to be mobile. So within a few months, we're going to have that so you can take it out. Now, that'll be integrated very heavily, so that you can actually be out in the field with your mobile phone, your tablet or whatever, and you can do your diary, and you can invoice, and you can quote, and you can do all this sort of stuff and contact clients and things, and it'll link directly into Gyms Online. So you'll be able to tell from that program, this is how much work I need today, tomorrow. This is the kind of areas I want to work in. So absolutely mobile. That's the plan. By the end of the year, this should be happening. It should be a brilliant program.
Hopefully that answers your question, Josh, and thanks for that. A couple of comments here, Jim, before I get into another question. So we have Ismet Kuru says, "Hi, Jim. Been with the Jim's car detailing division for 8 years.
How are you, Ismet?
Best decision I've ever made." Thank you, Ismet. Daryl and Lisa Weber, "Evening, guys. Watching in NZ. Thank you very much." Haydar Hussein, "Hello there. Love your work." And Haydar owns the cleaning division. And Haydar,
Hey, Haydar, how's your email inbox going? I'll ask you about that. He had about 180 in his inbox, and I talked to him about getting his inbox down yesterday. And so I rang him today, and he said it's down to 18, I think. So I said, text me when you've hit 0.
Well, he's tuned in anyway, which is great. So we appreciate you, Haydar, tuning in. Haral Bhavan Patel says, "Hi, Jim." So hello, Haral, and thanks for tuning in. I'll go back up here to some of the questions that were left, and we'll try and run through these ones quickly as we're getting a few through. Darcy Combe Varal says, "Hi, Jim and Joel. Jim, do you still have your old Volvo?"
No.
Now, maybe some context for that. Jim used to drive it was an old white Volvo, wasn't it?
Yellowish.
It's a yellowish Volvo, right?
Yeah.
And how old was it before you were 25, 20 years?
Oh, something like that.
Yeah.
I always used to joke I had this luxury Swedish automobile. I didn't tell them it was 30 years old. I like old cars. Actually, I drive a pretty modern car now. It's only about 8 years old, so it's a Mitsubishi Outlander or something.
I think you should splurge on a Ferrari one day, Jim. But
no way.
Yes.
The only time I've ever been luxurious in the car, my wife was driving home with my son, and she fainted at the wheel, and it was luckily she wasn't, and she ran into the side of the road, and that freaked me out. So I said, I'm going to look up the most safe car on the road, and I bought her a new Volvo. But that's only because I just freaked me out that she might get killed for myself there.
There you go. Ben Mitchell goes, "Do you keep an eye on what other franchises do, like Fox and VIP are doing, just in case they come up with a good idea, or do you just do your own thing?"
Oh, no, I'd love to know what they're doing. Actually, I was just looking up today. I got somebody to do some bit of spying. He had a person who'd been to Fox interested in the franchise, and I said, find out what's going on. And he said, I found out. So he said, Fox has got 140 franchisees, and they gave me all the areas, and he told me what they were selling for and all kinds of stuff. So that was brilliant. Actually, I've been in contact with Bill Viss. I'm trying to make a deal with him so that we can take each other's unserviced leads, so that when we have jobs we can't handle, give them to his guys, and when his guys have problems, they come to our guys. So we're trying to work this out. So Bill's a good guy, actually. We've had contact over the years. Bill Viss is VIP.
I think because in the early days, obviously, you did I know from the book you went into Bill Viz in some of his information meetings, didn't you?
No, I raided his at the expo, the show at the expo.
That's the one.
Bill wasn't there though. It was the state manager that was there, and he was the one that when I kept asking the questions, and he came and threw me out of the stand because I was finding out too much.
There we go. So let's keep an eye. Kyle Best has gone, and this goes into another question I had on the list, which was from Robert Faint last week, which we didn't get to and see in the feed. But it's very similar. They basically go, have you thought about doing a Jim's Loans, or it might be helpful for people wanting to buy franchises too? Robert said the same thing.
Yeah, Jim's Finance.
Yeah.
Already does it. Jim's Finance. Look it up. If you look at www.jims.net, Jim's Finance. Tony Gall's in charge of that. They've actually got a special deal that they've worked out to help our franchisees to get funds when the standard institutions knock them back. So yeah, Jim's is good. Jim's Finance is good.
Yeah, so that's been an option used by many franchisees or prospective franchisees to get their foot in the door. So that's definitely something that's doable. Jim's Memeing. G'day, Jim's Memeing. He said here, set up a Jim's app that customers can use sort of like Uber, so a customer can request a job and nearby gyms can come and help.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, it'll be... The big difference with the way we operate and other companies is that we will only allow one franchisee to get the job and to quote. So we won't have our guys competing against each other, because our whole idea is great service, but not the cheapest price. If you want cheap, go to High Pages or somewhere else. But if you want great service, you come to us. That's our market. We want the top end of the market, the people who want quality and don't mind paying for it. So yeah, we are actually going to work on one of the projects that we're working on is to get an app going.
Yeah, it'd be yeah, we definitely work on it, Matt. So hopefully we get it going.
We've got about 12 people working in IT currently, plus contractors outside. So we've got a very heavy investment in IT. You will not recognise this company in a year's time. There's so many great things that we're doing.
So Mick Worthy goes, hi guys, will you get Jimbo up and running with the new iOS system? So I presume this will
Jimbo's one of the efforts we made to have our own program, and it never come across very well. So what we're doing is going back to Jim's Jobs, which is a lot simpler, because most of our people don't want a very complicated program. They just want a simple thing that allow you to run a business in a fairly straightforward fashion. And Jim's Jobs has been the most popular thing we ever did, even though it's such a primitive program. So now we want to make it mobile and add some extra features to it. We've just made a feature so that you can email the invoices and quotes through and this kind of thing. But that's our idea. So we're looking at something here. Just going through a couple of comments. So working my way down. So Haral Patel goes, I love my gym's cleaning business. So Haydar will hopefully hear that and love that. So that's great to hear. We'll keep going down here. There's a few comments. Robert Sana, who asked last week about why should I buy Jim's Mowing franchise is gone. Fox has 126 franchises. They seem to be growing rapidly and half the price. Is this a concern? Question mark. Actually, I think, as I said, from my details today, I think they've got 140, so it's gone up slightly, or it's a different figure. Well, actually, no, Fox has been around for about 6 years, and I don't think they're particularly growing at all. In fact, when I had 140 franchisees within about 18 months of starting. They are a bit cheaper, yes. As I said, look, it's like franchises are like customer service. We have the same philosophy. We prefer to give a great service, but not necessarily be the cheapest. If somebody wants something cheaper, there's options around too. There's one called Express in Queensland, which is $6,000, but it's, well, I like to say you get what you pay for, but and I have a lot of respect for certain of my competition. People like VIP, for example, but there's some awfully shoddy things around. Look, like what I say, what you do with any system is you ring the franchisees in the system. If they won't give you the information, they won't give you the list of every franchisee with their direct contact number, drop them. Do not look at them. If they give that to you, ring them. So I'd say to anybody, yeah, sure, look at Fox. Of course you should look at Fox. Go to them, get their list, ring them, ask each franchisee how well they're going. What's the support like? How much work are you getting? Is it good value? And you do the same thing for ours. You do the same thing for anybody else, and you go with what's best. But price isn't the issue, because think about, okay, let's say that you got you paid an extra, I don't know, $5,000, $10,000, but in the first year you make $100,000 when the other with the other company, you might have made 50. So it's $50,000 in your first year of extra profit. So it's not so much what it costs to get into, it's what value do you get. It's like saying, do I buy a 20-year-old, rusted Volkswagen Beetle, or do I buy a brand new Lexus? Well, the Beetle's going to be cheaper, but are you getting the same value? That's what you've got to figure out. Now, myself, I'd probably buy the Beetle, but that's because I'm incredibly stingy. But it's still a matter of paying for what you get, and you've got to do your homework.
It's also about the IP. They done a survey of Jim's Mowing, 92% brand recognition. What's the brand recognition of Fox?
Yeah.
I'd say be less than 1%. So that's why it's half the price.
Well, but then again, it depends on how much work they've got. I mean,
True.
They could, for example, have such a fantastic advertising system that all of their guys say, I'm completely flat out. You'd be crazy to join gyms. I don't know that, actually. But that's what, if I was a prospect, that's what I'd ask. I'd ask the guys, not the franchisor, not the person. They'll tell you about it. But to get the information, you've got to talk to the franchisees in the system and ask them and then see what you get. And honestly speaking, if you buy a cheap business, which is a fantastic deal and gives you great service and great support and lots of work and income, fantastic. Why would you go anywhere else? Why would you pay more? If on the other hand, you find that service doesn't give you great support, people aren't making good money, they're not being looked after, well, then you're throwing your money away, because not only is it wasted, but you'll actually lose a lot of income in the meantime.
There's a good comprehensive answer for you there, Robert. So Darcy Comborough goes, is there any Jim's merchandise? Well, we are going to hopefully look at something and set up a shop online, and you can purchase some stuff. So that's in the works. This is a good one from Aaron Putty. This is a tough one. And Aaron Putty's a franchisee. Told me to ask you a tough question. He goes, hi, Jim, you just said you want the best price charged, but now you are surveying us on price, and it's counting against our star ratings. Why? ?
Yeah, actually, in our ratings, we have customer ratings. About 30% of our customers rate for any job. We rate on star rating out of 5, like Amazon, and we also rate on price. So it's $1, $2, $3. So roughly speaking, a third in each. Yes, of course, people like to be rated well. If I asked every franchisee what they wanted, they'd say, well, I want to be 5 stars at minimum price. But the trouble is, it's not giving very good information to the client. And in the end, if we give a great, accurate star rating, we're going to find a lot more work for our franchisees, because people will want to use it. Whereas if we don't give them information about things that are important to them, which is not only service, but also price, then people aren't going to use us as much, and we're not going to get as many leads through. So each individual will probably want to be 5 stars, low price. But the net effect of that would be that we get far, far less work for everybody. And the other thing I'd say too is this: if you are desperate for work, just starting up, it's not a bad idea to quote very reasonably. But once you get flat out, and most of our people are completely busy all the time. Most of our franchisees don't take any work outside territory on any given day. Well, if you're in that situation and you're asking for work, why would you be cheap? What does it matter? You don't have to get 75, 80% of your leads. You can get half, you can get 40%. But if the job you get is very lucrative, it's fine. And I would say too, if you were a customer and you were the person who wanted cheap, 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 why would you want that particular customer as a contractor, as a franchisee? What you'd want is the person who says, I want this person because I know they're dear, but they've got a 4.8 star rating, and I don't care too much about price. So you have a choice between a customer that says, I want cheap only, or a customer that says, I'm prepared to pay more for excellent service. Which one would you want? You'd want the good customer that wanted to pay a lot. And one of the things we are planning, which actually even our franchisees don't know about unless you're on this system, is we're actually start working on a customer rating system. And one of the ways we're going to rate our customers is on whether they reject our prices. So it's anybody who says no to a quote, or is unpleasant to deal with, or anything like that, then we'll rate them down. And what our best franchisees will be able to do is to choose the best customers. So the best customers can be chosen by the best franchisees. And a franchisee might say, I only want a client with a 5-star rating. I don't want anybody who's going to knock back my quote.
So I hope that answers your question, Aaron. It was a good one. It was a tough one. If you want more details, flick Jim an email through as well.
Yeah.
I'll go through a few more comments here, try and get a few Thank you for everyone who's taken time to put a comment in it. If we don't get to it or don't see it till afterwards, we apologise. We'll table it for next one, and we'll definitely get to it. James Bridge goes, "Hey Jim, he's a mowing franchisee from Queensland tuning in."
So you're James. All right.
James Bridge.
One of the 36.
One of the 36. Exactly right.
You've got to shorten your name to Jim, James. It's a custom around here. Exactly
right. So another question I just want to touch on. We'll make this the last one because it's 8 o'clock now and Jim's got to run. The last one, which is a bit more of a different one. Kes Hassan via Facebook commented last time and he said, "Would you consider a movie about your life, Jim? Warts and all. Who would you get to play you?"
Well, I'd like somebody who doesn't look anything like me at all. Somebody who's incredibly good looking.
It's like a Bradley Cooper or George Clooney, or who are you thinking of?
Yeah, I like Daniel Craig, or what's the
Daniel
other?
Craig.
What's the other one who's on the recent James Bond?
It was Daniel Craig was the newest one, wasn't he? Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan. I like Pierce Brosnan. I like him to play me. He doesn't look anything like me, but I reckon he'd be great.
So there you go.
But you got to have a really beautiful actress to play my wife, just to be realistic, because she's gorgeous.
Any in particular that you can think of?
Nobody is as good looking as my wife.
There you go. That's the correct answer. Okay, we'll leave it there. Jim had to run at 8 o'clock. It was strictly half an hour.
Yeah, my wife said I had to be back for dinner by 8:05. So I only live next door, but I've got to go. So thanks for coming in, and hopefully see you next week.
Exactly. We hopefully do this again next week or in a couple of weeks, depending on the feedback. Try to get as many comments and acknowledgements as we can. Leave your comments there. If we don't get them, we'll try and answer them first up next time, which is what we did with a bunch of these comments here and questions. We had them answered. Thank you for everyone who took the time to actually write something as well. Much appreciated. Put them into the feed again, and we'll get to them next week. And hopefully tune in next time. Don't know what time next week. Maybe similar time, I guess, maybe.
Well, we'll try it on this for the time being. See how people like it.
Okay, no worries. Let's do that. And thanks for everyone who took the time. We'll tally up your questions afterwards and send them through to Jim and answer them next time. Until then, thanks again.
Okay, right.